Hey guys, what I've got here today are the Swarovski STC 17 to 40 variable 56mm objective compact spotters. I've mounted these two compact spotters together using the Adams adapters STC Big Eye adapter plate. Now after mounting, the next step is collimating. To collimate these two, what we're going to do is independently move each scope. What we need to do is make sure each scope is the exact same height and they are both looking at the exact same point by adjusting the horizontal alignment and the vertical alignment. There's only a few things that you need to do to adjust that, and I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that next.
Okay, before going to the next step in collimating these, you want to make sure that these have been mounted properly, the hardware's tight, and your pupillary distance has been set. In order to make sure these have been mounted correctly, I've got a two-part video on YouTube you can refer to. Double check that just to see that you've done it properly, and then you're ready to go on to the next step, which is the collimating process.
All right, now we're ready to collimate our scopes. To collimate Big Eyes, it's a two-step process. The first step is going to be the vertical alignment. We're going to do that by simply shimming one of the scopes. We're going to place a shim under the upper base and above the main base to bring one of the scopes up to match the height of the other scope. That's the vertical adjustment. The second adjustment is a horizontal adjustment. All we're going to do there, loosen the bolts on the bottom and simply slide the scopes left and right until we get one singular crystal clear image. So vertical adjustment first, horizontal adjustment second. Okay, for making both these adjustments, the first thing we need to do is find an object out there about 3/4 of a mile away or so. I like to use something on a hill, silhouetted with no background if you can find it. A saguaro cactus with no arms works really well. A power pole also works really well. Try to steer clear using things like trees or brush that has a lot of limbs or leaves. It gets too much in the image. What you're looking for is just something simple. One straight object like a saguaro or a power pole usually tends to work best. So what you do is you get both those scopes pointed at that object. Go ahead and look through your scopes. More than likely you're going to see a double image. You're going to see two of those saguaro cactus up on the hill. What we need to determine is which one of the scopes is high and which one of the scopes is low. So you're looking through that field of view and you see two of the same image and one is up, one is down. What you can do is simply loosen the bolts back here and you can move the scopes by pressing up on one and pulling down on the other. Up on one and down on the other. Just gently do that. You'll see that image move while you're looking through the scopes. As soon as you've determined which one of those images is low, that's the scope that needs to be shimmed. To shim the scope, what we're going to do is take one of the stainless steel shims that was provided in the package. There should be 3 bags. They're all labeled. 1s are the thinnest, then the 2s, and then the 5s. So what I do is I just loosen the screw on the low scope, break it free. Don't take it all the way out, but you can give it a turn. And then lift up on one of the scopes and simply slide the shim underneath that scope. Now make sure you get the shim all the way under the scope. These are stainless steel shims. They're super thin, so they have really sharp edges. If that shim is hanging off the outside edge of this adapter plate and you run your finger over it, you'll probably cut your finger. So make sure you get those shims buried all the way underneath that upper base. Once you get it under there, go ahead, snug your bolts down, and then take a look through your scopes again. That image should be getting better. Now what I like to do is I like to intentionally have 2 images in my scopes. So if you're looking through there and you're seeing one image and you're really, really close, but they're off just a little bit, it's really hard to tell which scope to adjust. So what I like to do is loosen the bolts and literally pull the scopes apart so you actually intentionally have 2 images. Once you have those 2 images, it's easier to tell which one's low. Then as you shim the adapter plate and you tighten the bolt down, you should be seeing that image correcting. Keep going until you get both those images so they're exactly level with each other, the exact same height. Once you do that, you're ready for the horizontal alignment. There's a trick I like to use for installing and removing the shims from between the upper base and the main base. If you need to add a shim or remove a shim, what you do is just loosen that screw. You don't need to take it all the way out. Just loosen it enough that you can get some clearance in there. And then I actually lift up on the glass exposing the shim. It's hard to get to with your finger, so I actually use a razor blade, and I just slide the shim out using the razor blade. Then I can grab hold of it, pull it all the way out. Instead of trying to add more shims and shoving them under there, what I do is I take all the shims out, I stack them together neatly, and then I slide all the shims back underneath the base together. I use the razor blade to stuff them underneath there. Again, they're sharp and you don't want to have them hanging out where they can cut you. And then just put your scope back to the line that matches your pupillary distance. Tighten it back down again. To adjust the horizontal alignment, all you're going to do is loosen one of the same screws on the bottom here, these 1/4 inch screws, using your 3/16 Allen wrench. And you're going to slide the scopes left or right. What I like to do is I like to be looking through my scopes with the bolt loose. It doesn't matter which one it is, the right one or the left one. And then I like to put my thumb on the inside and my index finger on the outside. And I either push to the right or I pull to the left, or I do the exact opposite on the left scope. But I like to push on the adapter plate itself. I don't like to move the scopes so much. I like to move the adapter plate or push on the adapter plate. So while you're looking through your scopes and you're looking at that power pole up on the hill, you're seeing 2 of them. Your vertical adjustment's correct already. They're both the exact same height. Just start to slide the scope left or right. When you do that, you're going to see that image start to come together. Now, one tip I've learned over the years is if you've got your eyes up against the glass, just like you're using these things for glassing, as that image gets really, really close, all of a sudden your eyes and your brain will correct it. It'll make it look like it's one image. So you think you have everything good. You snug those things down. But if you look through your glass for a few minutes, then you come out of your glass, you'll feel like something's wrong. Like you can feel it in your eyes. You can feel that they're just not collimated properly. When you glass with these things, there should be no eye strain. You shouldn't feel it weird. You come out of them, go back into them, everything should be normal, just like using binoculars. So if you come out of them and something's wrong, it's because that image isn't perfect. But if you have your eyes up against this glass, your brain corrects that image, so you can't tell what's off. What I've found is if you get your eyes away from this glass about 6 inches or so, your view actually turns into 2 small little circles that you're looking through. But because you're looking through 2 small independent circles, you can actually get that image independent in each eye. Your brain doesn't correct it as easily. So when collimating glass, I don't look like I'm glassing with them. I don't put my face up against it. I actually sit back 6 inches or so until I get those small little dots I'm looking through. And that's one thing that's helped me be able to collimate these glasses and get them even better than when I have my eyes up against them. Another trick when you're looking through these things is to use your dominant eye. I have a left dominant eye. You could have left, right, doesn't matter what it is. Use your dominant eye. Get these set up on the hill, onto that object you were looking at, that power pole or the Swarovski, whatever it was. With your dominant eye, get that object in the dead center of your field of view. So in my case, I'm going to shut my right eye. I'm going to look through my left scope with my left eye. I'm going to be sitting back a few inches, and I'm going to get that image centered perfectly in my field of view. Then, when I open my right eye and I shut my left eye, that image should be in the dead center of my right scope. I should be able to see it perfectly. If you shut your right eye, you have your left eye open and it's dead center, and then you close your left eye and open your right eye, and that image moves or it's not even there, your glass isn't collimated. So you should be able to sit back a few inches from your glass. You should be able to look with one eye open, your dominant eye, get the image dead centered, shut that dominant eye, open your other eye, and you should see that image dead centered. Now open both eyes, sitting back a few inches, you might be able to find out which one of those images is a little higher, a little low, or a little left or a little right. Then we just go back to the shimming or the horizontal alignment process. After you've collimated these big eyes and you've got that vertical alignment perfect, you've got that horizontal alignment looking good, and you're glassing with these, if you happen to notice any black edges, either in the center of your field of view or on the outside of your field of view, that's usually due to the pupillary distance not being correct. So if you can imagine, you're looking through these and you have black on the inside edge. That's because this part of the glass is covering up your field of view. So wherever there is black, that's the direction you need to move the scopes. So if you're getting black edges on the inside, your glass is too far apart. The inside is obstructing your field of view. So you need to get these closer together. If you're getting black edges on the outside, that's because they're too close. The outside edges of these are obstructing your field of view. So you need to get these moved out a little bit. If you do need to move these in or out, what I like to do is I like to go back to the front. I like to loosen the 2/4 inch screws in the front, and I like to gently move each scope out. And you may not need to go to the next line. It may be really close, but whatever you do on one scope, try to match it on the other scope. That keeps your scopes in the center of your adapter plate. So just break these guys free, slide the upper base over, or slide it back in, depending on which way you need to go, and then snug these bolts back down again. When you do that, you'll probably need to go back and loosen these bolts and move your horizontal alignment again. So again, if you're getting black edges, outside or inside, that's due to the pupillary distance not being correct. So simply loosen up your big eyes again and move them out or in as needed. Another tip when using big eyes is removing eye cups. The majority of people that use these big eyes take these eye cups off. When we take the eye cup off, what it actually does is it increases what I call the sight window. Now, whether you glass them on or off, it doesn't change your field of view. Out there at 1,000 yards, it's going to be the exact same. But by taking them off, what it allows you to do, if you look closely, you can get your face just a little closer to the glass. And by letting your eye get a little closer to the glass, that sight window you're looking through is increased just a little bit. What it does is it changes your eye relief. So by changing the eye relief, our field of, not our field of view, but our sight window will increase or decrease. So if you were to turn these counterclockwise and extend them out, you're actually going to see that sight window decrease. If you turn them all the way in, you'll see it increase. But sometimes, because these are so much larger than what we're used to with binoculars, our nose will hit on the inside right here before we can get our eyes high enough or get comfortable in the glass. So by simply taking the eye cup off, we actually decrease that diameter, and it allows us to get our eyes a little closer and our nose a little closer, and we can actually increase our sight window when glassing. It feels a little bit more comfortable when glassing. It just depends on your pupillary distance and the bridge of your nose. If you have a narrow pupillary distance, your nose might hit here before your eyes actually can get into that field of view. If you have a real wide pupillary distance, you may be able to glass with these rubber eye cups on. So it just depends on each user, is a little bit different. But if you're struggling to get that good sight window, or you're hitting your nose on the inside here, one tip is just to remove the rubber eye cup.